a giant. Look at this fish. That is awesome. That is a big walleye. Next up, it's Canada fishing at its finest. Midsummer Lac-Seul walleyes have moved off the shorelines and taken up residence on islands and adjacent structures. While most anglers associate Canada with jig fishing, today spinners are the ticket and hungry walleyes can't resist chasing them down. John Thelen's Destination Fish is brought to you by Alumacraft Boats and Lindy Fishing Tackle. Here he is. Yep, got him. Had a feeling that I was going to get one of those. They were just good looking fish on the screen. You know, one of those times where you see a little bunch of fish. When you see that bunch of them, you always feel like one of them's going to bite. You see singles, it's not always as automatic, but when you see piles of them like this was, you always have a pretty good feeling. Great walleye to start our day. We're up in Canada. Awesome fish. The exact fish that so many of us come to Canada to catch right here. Just a great eater-sized walleye. Look at that. Awesome fish. Anywhere you go. We're up on Lac-Seul. Up in Sunset Country, they call it. Northwestern Ontario. And man, I'll tell you what, it's home to a whole bunch of those right there. You know, I hear people say every now and then that Lac-Seul can be a little bit tough. To be honest with you, there's reasons for that we'll talk a little bit about. But when it comes down to it, once you get it figured out, Lac-Seul is a really easy fishery to fish. And it's a lot of fun because you get this mix of fish like that one right there, and then big fish mixed in. It's just one of my favorite places in the world to go walleye fishing. Today we are fishing along the drop-offs of offshore islands anywhere from 8 to 15 feet deep. Our speed is ranging from 1 to 1.2 miles per hour. Little Joe walleye spinners behind 1 ounce bottom bouncers are triggering strikes with the hot color being white and chrome. It's mid-July with clear skies and water temps in the low 70s and air temps in the low 80s. Got him. That's a good fish. Good walleye. Yep, a little bit bigger fish. Oh yeah. Man, I'll tell you, you know, I know that so often people think of going to Canada and jigging, but I'm gonna tell you something. Here's the deal. I was on a fly-in 2 days ago, a day trip fly-in, and I'm gonna do it again tomorrow. And we're gonna jig. That's how we're gonna catch them. We're gonna jig. But you know what? You take Lac-Seul. This is a bigger, more diverse body of water, and walleyes like that one right there, they're far more spread out on a fishery like this than what they're going to be on these smaller fly-in lakes. So when you get so used to going in and jigging an area on a fly-in type situation, it doesn't mean jigs won't work here on Lac-Seul, but I will tell you this thing's 168 miles or something like that long. I mean, it's an enormous body of water. It's just huge. And what happens is the walleyes have so many different areas that they can be set up in, and it's so diverse that getting on top of fish and concentrations of fish in one little area to jig on is a lot harder here than, like I said, it's going to be on a smaller lake, on a fly-in lake. So what I really like to do is use presentations here on Lac-Seul where I'm moving. And I know that's not what people think of when they think of Canada, but here's the deal. All I want to do is catch fish, because there's going to be days on different lakes up here where I'm going to jig. But right now, you can't beat that little Joe spinner on a bottom bouncer out here. And all I'm doing is I'm working anywhere from 8 to 15 feet of water. And what I'm doing is just weaving back and forth. And what happens is you start seeing fish. You see a fish here, you see a fish there, then you see a pack of them. And what this allows you to do is move through those fish. If I was trying to jig, I've got to move so slow that it just makes it really, really hard. But here I'm going 1 mile an hour up to 1.3 every now and then. I might drop back to 0.8, but for the most part, I'm moving pretty doggone fast. I hear a lot of people talk about Lac-Seul being a little bit tough sometimes to catch fish on. That's because they're moving too slow and jigging. You move your boat, you run a spinner, a mile-an-hour presentation, and you're gonna catch a lot more fish out here. John Thelen's Destination Fish is brought to you by these fine sponsors. That's fun. That's a good one. Feels like a pretty good fish. You know, one of the things you gotta do, even though I say a lot of times fish shallow, start where they're eating. One of the things you gotta do, especially on a day like today, that's a really nice walleye, especially on a flat day like today, is look at those areas where you think you can get these fish shallow or where they might have been shallow earlier. And then just slide out a little bit. Walleyes like that one, just another great little eater fish. You know, 17 inches all day long, man. That's fun. That's the beauty of Canada. It's the ability to just catch numbers of these fish. But one of the things I want to point out, those fish that are in here shallow, a lot of times they're your eater fish and they're also hungry. That's why a lot of times you see me trying to start fishing shallow, and that's one of the things I love about fishing up here, is I know that a lot of these fish that are up shallow, they're gonna be willing participants. I'm gonna be able to get them to bite. There's nothing worse than looking at fish on your sonar unit out in deep water and not being able to make them bite. But these shallow fish, for the most part, you can make them bite. What do we got? Let's see. Oh yeah, nice walleye. Good eater fish. Look at this one. Just another one like we've been catching all day. Holy smokes. That's just fun stuff, you know. Just fun stuff. But I'll tell you, like I said earlier today, don't be afraid to come here with a different idea than just jigging. Don't be afraid to come here thinking about using some spinners, because walleyes like that one right there, just another great eater. That's a shore launcher in Canada. Man, I'll tell you what, at this time of the year though, on big water like Lac Seul, spinners can just be deadly. You might wonder why I'm fishing a half a crawler, because there's a lot of little walleyes in here too. What'll happen is those smaller fish will just nip on the back of that crawler all day and drive you crazy. But if you pinch it off, they won't bother you quite as much. So what I'm doing is I'm just threading a crawler right onto that hook, and then I'm pinching it off and just leaving about an inch, inch and a half back behind the hook. And using that walleye hook allows you to do that. Little Joe spinners, they've been around forever, and man, they just catch fish flat out no matter where you go. There's one. And he grabbed it good. Another good walleye. Man, I'll tell you, it is just so fun. It's so fun, this Canada fishing. Been coming up to Canada since I was just a kid with my dad. Brought my own kids up here over the years, and man, I'll tell you, it is just one of my favorite things in the world to do. To just come up here and be able to catch the sheer numbers of fish that you catch, have a crack at big fish, and my wife and I got some really nice ones this morning. This afternoon when the wind went down, it just became more great shore lunch eater style fish, and you know what, that's great too, because they bend the rod. It's just a great time. And I'll tell you, it's not that complicated. Bring some spinners though, change your plan a little bit, and then, you know, do your jigging on your smaller lakes. Man, they're more than willing to whack a spinner on a bottom bouncer, and it's pretty easy fishing. There's no doubt about it. Man, what a great day that was out on Lac Seul. I'll tell you what, this is one of my favorite fisheries in the world for the exact reasons you saw and the reasons that you didn't see. My wife and I went out and smacked them this morning. We got big fish, we got eater fish. Just a phenomenal fishery, Lac Seul. When I come up here, I always stay at K Air Service, and there's a couple reasons why, and I want to tell you about them. I can tow my boat right up here all the way on tar roads. I don't got to worry about gravel. I don't got to worry about banging it all up. Once I get here, there's a dock waiting for my boat. I'm all set to go. I get up every morning, just jump in the boat and head out fishing. And the cabins are awesome. They're all modern cabins, full electric. I mean, this isn't roughing it. They take care of you here. If it's a fly-in that you want to do, and we did a couple fly-in trips while we were here this week, man, were they fun as well. They also have outpost options that you can take a look at. If you're interested in coming up here, check them out at kair.com or give them a call at the number posted below. I know you'll enjoy it here just as much as I do. Thanks for watching this week, and we'll see you next week on John Thelen's Destination Fish. Closed captioning for John Thelen's Destination Fish is brought to you by Formula Propeller. John Thelen's Destination Fish has been brought to you by these great sponsors.